What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Not About Wrestling. I'm your host, Chris Illuminati, and today I'm talking to Ring of Honor star PCO. The career resurgence of Pierre Carl Ouellet, now christened PCO in Ring of Honor, has been nothing short of remarkable. Longtime wrestling fans will remember Ouellet from his run in the WWF as one half of the tag team, the Quebecers. Along with partner Jacques Rougeau, the Quebecers captured the WWF Tag Team Championship on 3 different occasions. After Rougeau left the company due to family obligations and burnout, Ouellet was packaged as Jean-Pierre LaFitte, a pirate character known for robbing the personal belongings of fellow WWF Superstars. Ouellet was immediately put into a program with the company's top babyface, Bret the Hitman Hart, after LaFitte stole the fellow Canadian's leather jacket and began wearing the coat to the ring. The angle is looked back on now as being a little hackneyed, but Ouellet argues the looting would have been more meaningful if Hart put a little more effort into feeling violated for having his prized possession taken from ringside. Backstage issues with the Clique led to Ouellet's sudden departure from the WWF in 1995. He bounced around from company to company, making short stints in WCW, ECW, TNA, and eventually back to the WWF. Ouellet found his way back to Stamford just in time to participate in the ill-fated Brawl for All competition. After a 6-year run on the indie circuit, PCO retired from the ring in 2011, or so he thought. He decided to give wrestling one last shot in 2016, being quote-unquote reborn in YouTube videos that caught fire with the online wrestling community. Pierre Carl Ouellet was dead. PCO, or Perfect Creation 1, arose from those ashes. A 2018 match against NXT UK powerhouse Walter on the indie show Spring Break 2 during WrestleMania weekend in New Orleans put PCO back in the minds of wrestling fans. Hey everybody, we are back and we are here with none other than PCO. I mean, you've gone by so many names, my friend, over the years that, I mean...
That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one. We're going to stick with the most recent one. How you been?
I'm great. What about you?
I'm doing good. But right before we jumped on, I was going to ask if you were in the Ring of Honor bubble. Obviously, you are not.
I'm not now, but I was just came back Sunday night. Actually.
Yeah.
So
how was that experience? What's that like?
Very safe, very, very demanding.
Okay.
Because let's say we fly in on a Tuesday, then we got to stay in the room until the next day, full day to Wednesday. Then Thursday is the fast COVID test, the 15 minutes before you got your result. And then you got promos and a bunch of things to do. But, you're a day and a half stuck in your room that, you can only work on yourself, read books or write things down in your journal or whatever. And then once you're out, it's bang, 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 bang. It's maybe sometimes in the ring to practice different things. Then it's a promo time. Then it's maybe another promo time. So it's not all jammed up in one sequence. It could be a little bit in the morning. Like the morning is always a COVID test and a physical. And then the afternoon could be a promo and some ring time at the dojo or somewhere and somewhere in a ring. In the bubble, it's always the same space. And then your match could be in the morning, could be in the afternoon, could be at night. It depends, So it's pretty special, but very, very safe environment.
Now, are you the type of person that goes crazy with all the extra time, or do you like the extra downtime?
Yeah, I'm the type of guy that can stay 5 days in a room without going crazy. So, I like to read, and I don't watch TV. So basically, I bring stuff, and I think about my matches, and I think about what I'm going to do, and I try to visualize things, and I try to do things that going to be good for my health and eat well and have enough rest and things like that. All kinds of good things that usually life goes so quick and so fast that you can't really do those things. So I take full advantage of it.
Mm-hmm. Now you're a guy, I mean, you started in the business decades ago. I mean, no one ever thought that we would get to this, but you used to go where you would travel all the time. Like you do a show, get on the road, travel all night, travel through the day. And now you're kind of like in a hotel room, like waiting. Did you ever see, like, did you like one over the other? Like, did you like to travel?
At the end, it's almost the same because the road trips are kind of cool too. If you have like decent, we always have great cars and things like that. But depending on the people that you get along with, like if you have a good road trip, and let's say I'm traveling with Destro, mm-hmm. I love road trips. I like being on the road and going from town to town. But they are both cool because what I like about this stuff that we're doing right now, it's like I know that my match is at 4:00. Mm-hmm. So I know what I need to do in order to be ready for 4:00 or for mm-hmm. 1:00 or for noon. So when you're on a live show with fans, let's say your main event, then you have like all night to get ready. But then, you see the match, and then, by the time you get there, you need to bring your full energy because, they've been there for 4 hours. So mm-hmm. you're the main event and you have to deliver and you have to be ready to bring that energy, that extra energy to lift up the crowd. So, and if you're on early, sometimes you're rushing. Okay, I got this promo to do, but there's 2 matches and that my match is on, and I didn't get to, get all over my things for my match and things like that. So you kind of rushed. So now it's like a more time frame, very solid schedules. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of cool in a way, but if you ask me, I'd like to have the fans.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody would. I know like all the rules are different, but are guys allowed to hang in the back and watch other matches, or do you have to go as soon as you're done?
No, but there's, we've been like really good as a company on not talking about other matches or not giving out any spoilers or things like that. It's been like the pride of the company basically mm-hmm. since the pandemic has started and since we've been shooting. So I don't see very much the point of teasing yourself of watching other matches mm-hmm. Because they don't follow each other. Like they follow each other, but they change the mat, they wipe up the ropes, they mm-hmm. change the buckles and mm-hmm. the pads and things like that. And it might be 15, 20 minutes between each match, just to set up the whole thing and just to wash all the floors and things like that. And we're always 6 feet apart from each other in dressing rooms. And let's say it's the dressing rooms all cut up 2 by 2. So if I'm teaming up with Mark Briscoe, I got me at 6 foot long table and Mark Briscoe at the end. And then there's another dressing room and another dressing room. And it's a very nice setup. It's very professional.
That's something that probably a lot of people don't think about. Like in between each matches, they have to like sanitize and wipe everything down and
change the mat. We've got 10 different mats.
Yeah.
For all the matches.
Yeah.
There's a different canvas.
And you coming from a time when if a guy bled in the second or third match, it's there until the main event, just sitting on the mat.
Oh yeah. So it's very different as an environment. It's very. I'm impressed with how professional we are as far as performing in front of nobody mm-hmm. and performing the same way that it would be 20,000 mm-hmm. fans in there. I'm talking for myself and I've seen others. I go full, I don't put the brakes on, mm-hmm. I put on the pedal, I push as much as I can to give the best product out there, because I know it might not be watch live there, but you got everybody from the company watching, all the executives, all the booking comedy, and you also have like it goes on TV, it goes on social medias, it goes all over the world. So there's over 500,000 people watching the show. So we very aware of that when we perform.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that approach has changed since you broke into the business? Because, when you broke in, if you had a match, okay, besides like TV and pay-per-views, if you had a house show, if you had a not so great match, no one really saw it except the people there. But now with the internet, YouTube, WWE Network, everything, like you have a match and people are watching it 20, 30 years later.
Yeah. Every ROH event is streamed.
Yeah.
It's on ROH Honor Club. It goes on YouTube channel. It goes everywhere. So it's there for forever, like you said. Once you perform, it's historical now. It's as before, it was maybe historical in a way that it was written somewhere with the results, but you would have no images from it. Now everything is like a pay-per-view. It is like a pay-per-view, even if it's, like you said, a house show, it becomes a pay-per-view by itself.
Yeah. Do you ever go back and watch any of your old stuff?
Yeah, I like to. I like to watch some of the stuff. And sometimes when I go back and I watch some stuff, I say, I remember that move was cool. I'd like to see how I was bringing it on, and how I would used it. And then I bring some stuff from the past, and then try to not reinvent the wheel, but just make a different wheel with it. Just maybe add a variation or just combo with something else. And just, I really like watching some old stuff sometimes.
Well, I mean, in a way, you did reinvent yourself. I mean, you were a mat wrestler, and then later on, you decided that you wanted to be more of a high flyer. How did you convince yourself to do some of the things you do at, when you got older?
Yeah, I guess it's just that I felt like I needed to be different. I needed to be a monster that can move, a monster that can, backflip and front flip and side flip and take apron bumps and like a little bit of mix of a little bit of Mick Foley, Vader, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. I don't know. It's a mix of. That's why it's so cool when we came about to make the character, the Frankenstein. It was like made of different. Maybe the arms of a certain wrestlers and the legs of another wrestlers, and just to make the package of different type of wrestlers put all in one, and sewed it all in different pieces, and it makes the French Canadian Frankenstein go. So it's kind of cool because there's things that I like from the Road Warriors or from Kobashi or from. I got different influence. As a wrestler, I was influenced by different type of wrestlers that marked my life, and there's a lot of stuff that like I was a fan of King Tonga for his karate, and in 2019 and 2020, I've been adding those karate chops, sort of Kobashi a little bit, and. Tonga and along those lines. It's been part of my arsenal lately, and I keep on really working hard on this one. I think it's energetic, and I think it's cool for the monster, and also I had to adjust with Ring of Honor was really going into pure rules and pure style of wrestling, so I didn't want to be just a character. I wanted to be a character that can wrestle as well and fly and do all that, but not just a presence, but also being able to do some stuff that are legal and things like that, and within the rules of ROH.
Who were your influences when you were younger?
Rick Martel, the Road Warriors, King Tonga. Then after when WWE, Macho Man, and of course, I was always fascinated, always like great workers, like the Rockers. You know, when I was watching AWA, sometimes I spotted them like before they were with Vince, Marty and Sean. I like their style, like their high-flying style. And I was watching all kinds of wrestling, the Von Erichs, a little bit. Not Kerry so much, but Kevin, the barefooted style cut my eyes up, for not being a Samoan or a Hawaiian guy, It was kind of cool at that time to see something like that. So I tried that a little bit when I was younger.
Yeah. Now that you're in the business, like, do you see how hard that is to wrestle barefoot and how bad for you that is? Like, do you now look at it and go, God, what were they thinking?
I think eventually they all start wearing boots, at the end of their career, or when a major injury happens. I've seen even King Tonga was wearing wrestling boots when it was in WCW. Pretty much everybody, Steamboats had been wearing boots later on, and a lot of guys, were wearing boots that started barefooted. So we'll see how long Riddle can go.
Not very long. It's just
we'll see.
It's just a bad idea. I mean, like you said, eventually, I think the only guy who might not have, and I don't really remember, did Snuka eventually go to boots?
Yeah, he went to boots.
Yeah.
When he lost against Taker at WrestleMania, he had boots on.
Oh, he did? Okay, see, I don't even remember that. Yeah. Because you just eventually, it's just a smarter move, but, it's a cool look.
Yeah.
It's something people remember.
I think, but even like Fatu of the head shrinkers eventually wore boots, after the head shrinkers. I think for a while, like when the gimmick is so strong, like the Samoans or the head shrinkers, I think they had to go barefooted, because it was their character. But once it flipped to being Fatu Rikishi or another some sort of character, you didn't have to be barefooted. So. But he did it a long time because he started in Montreal. Remember, Junior started in Montreal. He was 16. I was a fan back then, and he went all the way to his late 30s without boots. So I just thought it was a cool thing to do, to wrestle barefooted. And
What year did you break in?
Around 86, 87. But break in. I mean, I'm just the first year. I don't know if I've touched the ring that much. It was. I was talking with Mark Briscoe about that when we broke in, like he broke in around like late 90s. I broke in the mid 80s, and it was tough. Just to get in the ring. You could be 3 or 4 months at a wrestling school where you're looking at the older guys or the more experienced guys, and you see them hitting the ropes and doing some, spots in the ring, and then you're like, when am I gonna get in that? I want to touch it, I want to feel it, I want to know how it bounces, and then you just do the running around the gymnasium and do the sit-up, jumping jacks, and they never really smart you up. And it's not like today, someone can come up to a veteran and say, can you explain to me a little bit what is the psychology of pro wrestling? Or almost every fans would kind of know what it is. But when I broke in, it was like you had to learn in the ring. You couldn't ask questions. You wouldn't get answers. You just were in the ring and getting a beating and trying to learn as much as you could. I was 16, so I was getting beat up every night.
So you were getting beat up at 16. Do you like it better now that guys can come to you for advice?
I think it's just part of the evolution. I think it was a hard time, but right at the beginning who would make it and who would not make it. Who was going to be thinking, oh, wrestling is just this thing that I want to be a superstar and that's going to be easy. Mm-hmm. But right from the get-go, you knew just in order to get a simple practice to be in between the ropes, it takes like 3 to 4 months or 5 months. And then once you're in the ring, then they shoot you into a boot in the corner and they boot you as hard as they can in the face, and everything hurts because they want to hurt you. They want you to quit. Basically, it's how bad you want it. We want to hurt you, and we want you to stay home the next day and not come back. And the guys that are coming back, it's because they wanted enough. That's how I learned.
Mm-hmm. How many guys do you think that could have gone on to be very good performers and wrestlers actually quit too soon, like because of that?
Many guys.
Anyone.
If they don't quit on that, because that's just showing you a little bit of what is to come. Mm-hmm. When you finally hit the business, it gets even harder. Mm-hmm. Because once you're in it, then you're stepping on some toes, or guys perceiving you or taking a spot or being there. And if you're there, someone else is not there. Mm-hmm. That's the way that people look at the business. People in the business look at it, Mm-hmm. So it's just the way that people are looking at it in a hockey club or in a roster or anything else. If you're there, they think you're having a spot that they don't have because there's someone at their spot, or they want that spot eventually. So it creates tension, creates stress, creates a little bit of jealousy. Mm-hmm. And you feel right away what you felt at the wrestling school was just a small I'm looking for that word, but just a percentage of what
like a small taste.
Yeah, a small taste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said the kick to the face kind of smartened you up to what was going on in the ring. How long did it take you? Did someone smarten you up to the actual business side of the business?
No, but once I started to have my first matches, I knew, okay, it was pretty clear and simple. You only had the finish, and then you'd get in the ring with the veterans and they would heat me up and they wouldn't let me do any move, any offense. I would just be like on the receiving end, and they were really stiff with me, and they were with all the young guys. And then eventually when they see that, you stick to the game and that you really want it and then you paid your dues, eventually, they start giving you a little sunset flip or schoolboy or a little cartwheel and, let you do a little flurry here and there. And you keep on building up like that. But it was really like that. It was really like.
Do you remember your first match when you looked across the ring and you were like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm in the ring with blank?
Yeah. Well, I remember it was a wrestling school where I broke in. It was like a Road Warriors type tag team type of deal where, they had the makeup and they were built a little bit and they were like really over with the crowd and they would just, squash people up. And then I remember I felt like every Sunday afternoon I was facing them. And at a young age, I hated them,
Uh-huh.
And they were probably good guys, I got to know them a little bit later on when they were older, and they were all right, and it could have been the other way around. I could have beat them up. but I understood the nature of the business, It was just it was just like that. And eventually I went on the road, and it was another total different story again. Mm-hmm. I've seen guys like, I've seen my first territory. I've been to Calgary, and after that, I was not very successful in Calgary. I've been to the Maritime, where I was not very successful either. I was maybe 19 years old, 20 years old. Mm-hmm. But at least I got along, I was on the roster. So mm-hmm. let's say Sailor White was a big dude. He was one of the Moondogs. Mm-hmm. And he would be drunk every night. And he would let me backdrop him and do all my drop kick and make me look like for my age. And, I was almost like I was watching this guy on TV in Montreal. Now I'm wrestling him, and he's bumping all over the place. He's 350. And then a guy came, for a local guy from St. John, New Brunswick, and he beat the living hell out of him. Opened up his mouth and killed that kid, And just because I was part of the official roster, I was able to bump him all over the place. Uh-huh. But the guy that came in just for, to do a job, he got beat up pretty badly.
Do you know if he stuck around? Did you ever see him again?
I never saw him again.
He probably quit.
Yeah. He didn't pass the test.
Well, you wrestled a bunch of different places. You mentioned Calgary and stuff, but I think your first mainstream exposure would have been with the WWF. And
I had been on the CWA. Germany was one of the major territory where Vader was there. A lot of Japanese guy from all Japan or New Japan, or also Owen Hart and Chris Benoit and Road Warrior Hawk, Snuka, Big Otto Vance was the AWA World Champ. He was a promoter, so he had access to all the American talent. Larry Cameron, older guys from the AWA too. So it was a very Steven Regal, just from the guys that I met at CWA, Lord Steven Regal, Owen Hart, Chris Benoit, Dave Taylor, Hawk.
That's a hell of a roster right there.
Oh yeah, and Vader. It was top names from the business all went there, and so I was booked there in 1992. And then they wanted to re-sign me. They had sent me my contract, which was 6 months a year, 2 months in Austria and 4 months in Germany. And you do, let's say, you'd be Hamburg 30 days, Hanover 60 days, Graz 35, 40 days. So it was tours like that. It was like a circus where you had the camper in the back, and then you shower, and it's like a mini house, and you go to the tent, and you wrestle under a tent, and there's 4,000, 5,000, 8,000 people every night, and it was cool.
Did being in front of a crowd ever bother you? Did you have any, not so much stage fright, but you're always okay with that, even as a kid,
When I broke in as a kid, it was a little bit nerve wracking, but it's always nerve wracking, even today. I mean, because it's always the unknown. You don't know how the match is gonna, something might happen, something might not go as planned, or you never know. It's dealing with the unknown. It's always a little bit of stress, because for an actor who does live theater, or musician, if let's say I was on the road with Bret for 60 days, that stress is not there anymore, because I've done that match the night before, tonight, tomorrow, the day after, and after, when you're on the road for so long together, you say, hey, we'll take that out, we'll add this one, we'll take the other one out, we'll switch this from this, and you keep on building up a better match. And by the time you were getting to a pay-per-view, everything was really polished. So that was a piece of cake. But now it's like everything goes 100 miles an hour. There's so many spots. There's so many things. So there's more of, okay, got to be alert and got to be ready. So it's a different vibe a little bit. It's like as much as you knew as your match would be in a certain way polished for a let's say Survivor Series or WrestleMania, you still want to do well. You still want to do good. So that's always part of, you always feel better once it's over and it's a success. It's like, phew, that's good. Great feeling.
Those early days, especially like the territory days. I mean, now the crowd kind of understands that this is a show, but back then people took it a lot more seriously. Did you ever have any situations where you weren't sure, like the crowd was kind of turning on you and you didn't know if you were going to make it out?
Yeah.
Especially in a tent.
Not in Germany, because Germany crowd was really for entertainment. They would boo you if they hate you, but they would never try to assault you physically or throw a glass of beer at you. They were really respectful. It was one of the greatest places to wrestle for me, Germany and England. I mean, because just before I got picked up by Otto Vance, I worked 2 years in England too, where it was awesome. It was a great crowd, and I never felt my life was at risk. But place like South Africa, I could have got stabbed because I remember we were at Good Hope Center and in Cape Town, South Africa, and it's sold out, and we're suffocating one of their babyface, the Ric Flair angle with the plastic bag on top of the head, and we have him handcuffed on the top rope, and we're laying the guys out to try to make the save, and it turns into a riot. And the fans, and then I hit the guy who had the plastic bag with a chair, and I let the chair hit his head, and the chair flew to the crowd. So it took not even a few seconds that the ring was full of chairs.
Oh, no.
I was getting chairs from everybody. So we ran out of the ring. And it wasn't even dangerous with their baby faces because they were receiving chairs as well. And on the way to the dressing room, like they were trying to stop us from going to the dressing room. And, you have people with scissors, and they would take their cameras and take the film out and whip us with the round edge by pulling all the tape of the camera and whipping us with that would hurt. And then I'm telling my partner, we have to show them that we're not impressed. So I'm nailing a few people, but there are too many. We can't go, and the security has lost control, and we're running to the dressing room, and the people are running after us, like everybody. And we locked the door, and we were lucky to make it. We were lucky. So I told the promoter that we needed like more security and to be in a safer place. And Puerto Rico was the same. Puerto Rico was very, very dangerous too. People in Puerto Rico really, they're not so much into the entertainment side of it. They're more into the violent side of it, So they want revenge from their Puerto Ricans.
You got to think that fans like that are looking for something, maybe not from the wrestlers, but they're looking for trouble. Like, who brings scissors to a wrestling event anyway?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, so they're kind of looking for something to begin with, and they're looking for a reason to. I
got to put this. I've got this match somewhere on my hard drive, and I want to put it available on YouTube because it shows the craziness. It shows all the chairs and all the riots and how everything became so crazy. So,
you should. I would definitely watch that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I will. I just have to find it and and put it on. Yeah, that you just give me that idea to put that match on YouTube.
You
just
should.
to show, in the 90s, how crazy it was in South Africa.
So you make your way to the WWF. Before you sign, do you ask any of the guys in CWA or maybe Bret or somebody, like, is this, well, Bret was there at the time, so of course he's going to say yes. But did you ask anybody like, is this what I want to do?
Well, everybody in the CWA, I guess, were hoping to get a break.
Right.
Dave Finlay, William Regal, Dave Taylor, and a bunch of other guys that made it to WCW. But after I made it to WWF, and I knew when I was like 12, 13, 14 that I wanted to be up north. I didn't want to. I was never a big fan of WCW or NWA or I like watching the show, and I like watching AWA a little bit on TV on ESPN, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I always knew I wanted to be, WWE. So when I met Jacques in Puerto Rico, actually in 1993, and he said that he wanted a tag team partner, and he wanted it to be me. It was a no-brainer for me. I knew I would say yes.
So that was the plan going in, for you guys to be a tag team?
Well, the way it was pitched at me wasn't pitched like that, but I think that was the plan, because I met with Jacques, and he was watching my matches, and he called Vince and said, I've got someone here. And then they gave me like a few tryout matches. And then I went there by myself. Jacques wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
I came back to Puerto Rico, and then I was in touch with Jacques, and then Jacques would tell me, okay, I think they want to do this. I think they want to do that. But I was not in contact with them. The only time I had been in contact with them, it was when they wanted me to send a tape, and when they wanted to get my address so they could send me my ticket so I could fly there and to pick me up there with the limo, and give me the nice treatment and the nice hotel and the limo drive and all that. And then I went to Japan, and I came back. So it took a little while, because I think I tried out around February or March, and I got hired for June. So I got signed up in June.
So you come in and you're the Quebecers, because you can't be the Mounties, because there was a problem because they weren't allowed to be the Mounties, right?
Yeah, it was a lawsuit against Vince for using that name.
Yeah, so you come in as the Quebecers. I've always wondered this. Those suits were itchy as hell, right?
No, because we made it ourselves. The original one was. I wouldn't have worked with the original one.
Okay.
So we made the one with the any other wrestling gear, where we went to someone who does wrestling gear, and we asked to have the same model, but basically made out of tissues that we could tolerate.
So the ones that WWE Creative Services gave you were itchy, you're saying?
Yeah. Well, at first it was because Jacques, that was probably Jacques' idea, because his brother-in-law was a real RCMP. So he probably got the real outfit from him and showed it to Vince. I wasn't there at that, because he had the year as the Mountie. Before the lawsuit came in, then he couldn't be the Mountie no more.
Right.
And then the son, the oldest one, and then the second one came in, and then he wanted to take a year off, and then that's when we met. And then we took the original suit, and then we had two other suits made out of wrestling tissues, spandex and things like that. And with the same collars.
The same collars? Those collars must have been, like, just looking at that,
like
I always
the
thought
red,
to myself,
the yellow, the black, and
right. So you also have to come in. You come in, and your theme song actually says, "We are not Mounties."
That's Vince's idea to give them a receipt, for the lawsuit. So we're not the Mounties. We're handsome. We're brave. We're strong. We are the Mounties because we enforce the law. So it was all, we're better than you.
Right.
You're worse than us or whatever. It was just a rib song, basically.
Yeah. And you sang it yourselves, and you would sing before matches, which is always automatic heat.
Yeah.
At all times. It doesn't matter what. Did you have any problem wanting to sing? Did you want to sing?
Yeah, I like to sing. Because I had been singing, I remember South Africa would sing the Canadian, because I know the Canadian national anthem by heart, but I'm not a good singer. But, when I want to piss everybody off in my house with my daughter and my mom or my dad or a party, let's say everybody's doing we're having dinner, my mom's cooking some food, and I'm there with my 12-year-old daughter, and I start to sing the national anthem, thinking I'm good. Everybody can you just shut up? Because it goes, it's just something that's gonna stress your nerves, man. It's just the way I sing it. I just know how to sing it to piss people off, I guess. Well, sometimes, it's,
as a kid, it pissed me off. So,
so it's the same principle with the Mountie song. We were totally off track. I remember Jim Johnson was like, after a day of recordings, there's a lot of work to be done, and I don't think we're going to be able to make a real song with it. It's going to go like that.
But it wasn't supposed to be a real song. You're supposed to not sound good. If you sound good, people would like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they were happy with the result, but we had spent a full day with Jim Johnson in the studio to record that song.
Was Jimmy Hart involved in that at all?
No, it was Jim Johnson, but I was never good at getting into the 1, 2, 3, 4 time frame. So I would always exceed my time or be too short. So that's where.
So you were ruining it.
That's why I think it was a challenge for Jim Johnson to make it a song. To make it okay.
So you have a couple runs with the tag team titles. Jacques leaves, and you get repackaged as the Pirate, as people call it. And one of your first angles is with Bret Hart, and this is a fun angle because actually Bruce Pritchard talks about this a lot on his podcast, and his co-host Conrad always makes a joke because essentially the whole angle with Bret Hart was you stole his jacket.
Okay, I thought it was he can catch a ball.
No.
He got laughed at for saying that. He could catch a ball too with one eye.
No, well, I want to go back and talk about that. People think that's a work. That's an actual shoot. Your eye.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally.
And it happened as a kid with a pellet gun, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I shot the idea for the pirate idea, because I wanted to, take something that was a real tough time in my life, a big adversity, a big setbacks, losing an eye at 12 years old in 6th grade. All the kids laugh at you. And every time going back home, you have to get into a fight to shut up someone, because they call you names. They're not cool with you. You have to wear either a patch or sunglasses, not to have too much stuff getting into your eyes and getting infected. And if you wear sunglasses, after school, they think you just want to be a meathead, but you have to do it for medical reasons. And then that was my worst years. My 6th grade years, I had changed school and we're new, the whole group. Me and my friends were just going into another city to change school because our city was full. The schools were full. And it took a while, to beat up a lot of people before we got friends. And then we had a good year from that point on. But the first month or two were really tough. And then I had, when my parents got into a divorce, I moved with my mom and I changed town again, went into another place. And same story again. I had to make a name for myself. I had to stood up, and I had to go up against the bully and the fight. Just to make a point that I'm not gonna get laughed at.
Mm-hmm. How do you think that changed your approach because you said you had a daughter? How do you think that changed your approach as a parent? When you had kids, like, did it make you more understanding of how awful kids could be?
Oh yeah, because she's my age, the age that I was when I lost my eye, and she goes to some bullying sometimes, and she's a girl. I put her into jiu-jitsu for 5 years, and she was good. She won some medals and everything, but I'm telling her, that kid who pisses you off, you have to make a big show in the lockers in the morning when the school starts, when everybody's looking. You shove him as hard as you could in the lockers, and when he gets back up, if he gets back up, you just send one big punch or something. But you got to send a message across that you're not the person that you can be picking on, because they will go to someone weak. You have to show. You don't have to hurt him that much, but you just have to show that nobody's going to step on your toes. And if you don't do it, you can say, yeah, my dad is PCO or my mom is this or that. Eventually, you're gonna have to do it by yourself. Nobody can do it for you.
Yeah.
So I've been telling her, but she's trying to go around. She's a softie. She doesn't want to hurt people. She don't like fighting. So. But she's a cutie too, so now guys don't want to. Now they're more looking at girls another way than when they're younger. They start having a little crush on each other and things like that. So it might just go away without her having to ever fight at school. I think she might have pushed a few guys along the way, but. When it's a real bully, she's, Dad, but he's thick. And I say, he's thick, but I don't care if he's thick. You just you got to shove him. That's it.
Do you think there's a chance one day she could come to you and say, Dad, I want to learn how to wrestle?
I'm trying to. I never brought her to a show. I just let her watch my match on YouTube or on TV, and we talk a lot about the wrestling business because obviously that's how I earn that's how I, earn my money, and that's how I make a living. And I made a living, and but I'm trying to tell her to make her own legacy, to make her own, because she's good at. She talks a lot, and she's got a good qualities. Maybe she could be a good wrestler. If one day she would like to be a wrestler, I wouldn't say no. But I don't push towards that direction right now. I let her make her own choices. Right now, she's not talking about that. And you don't want to bring any children near a hockey dressing room or a wrestling dressing room, because I feel like the boys. I've seen guys bring their children sometimes, and if they talk about last night, if they went out to a bar and they saw some hot chicks and things like that, they're not gonna be aware that there's some children around. They're gonna talk to the guy because they're not talking with them or the parents of these children's. And I think it's just not a good environment to bring for a girl, at least, maybe for a little boy it's different, but for a little girl, I think it's kind of tough, Not that at school they don't go through that, I don't want to be blind either. The world is what the world is, but I'd let her discover the world on her side. I don't have to bring her in a wrestling dressing room, and no, I've seen a lot of girls who grew up in wrestling rooms, and I don't like the end result most of the time. I don't say it applies to everybody, but most of the times it wasn't very good.
I'm also a parent. I have 2 little kids, and I always find myself doing the whole, oh yeah, well, when I was your age, I didn't, or I did this. Do you ever say to your daughter, when I was your age, I lost my eye? So
She knows. She knows. Yeah, she knows because she broke her arm last year or 2 years ago. She was trying to do the monkey bars, and she was trying to jump 4 bars, and she broke her arm. And so, just to have her relate a little bit with the injury and not having a cast and going through that tough time. Sometimes I'm giving her some of my stories to helping her out going through her stories.
Right.
So I try to be, to educate her with my experience and without trying to be too protectful or no, don't do this, don't do that, this is gonna happen. Like when I go with my daughter for a ride bike, where I live, it's very quiet. There's no traffic. And then I'm not with the mom anymore, but we're still having a great relationship. Like she has a boyfriend and for the last 10 years, so we're really friendly. And she goes, she's got to put her helmet on, but I never put an helmet when I was a kid, so I don't see. I think it's over. To me, it's over. It's too much for a 5-10 minute bike ride. I'm not gonna say, "Oh, you forgot your helmet at your other place, so we can't go do some biking." So there's place where I'm kind of loose. I'm kind of PCO.
So before we got into the eye discussion, I was saying how Bruce Pritchard says that. So you started the angle with Bret Hart where you stole his jacket, and Bruce Pritchard said that would piss me off if someone stole my jacket. Like, how did you feel about that's the start of the angle? I'm stealing someone's jacket.
Yeah, that wasn't that was. I pitched those ideas where I would steal stuff, from Bret's attire. Like the first thing that I stole was the glasses. Like it was a kid where Bret always gave his glasses. So I snatched glasses, and then Savio Vega took his flag, and then Bret took his jacket. And I heard Bret on a podcast saying it was a lame angle because if someone would steal my jacket, why wouldn't I get someone make another one for me? But for me, I saw it a different perception because let's say I'm having a streak with my hockey stick or my baseball bat, and I'm having good hits and I'm doing well, or I'm having wrestling boots for the last 5-10 years. They feel like, a pair of lofters, and someone would steal it. Maybe I'd get another one made up, but I'd be pissed. Yeah. I'd be, that's just try to stop Patrick Roy, like when he was in his prime as a goaltender, when he was jumping over the line. Just try to stop him going over the line with the skates. See what would happen. Would it be a general? Would it be a general fight? Just by, I remember Ron Extall used to come on the red line just to cross the line of the Montreal Canadiens, just to piss them off. And one night they put one player there, just say, you're not touching our line. And we put our goon there, and it was a general fight. So me thinking, you steal my ring jacket, it's a hell of a big deal. But for Bret, he didn't see it like that. I never could explain it to him, and I only found out. That's the thing. Sometimes we have a lot of miscommunication in wrestling, because when we went through that angle, he could have told me maybe, I think it's lame, the fact that you steal my jacket. I don't see the point of it. And then I could tell him what I just told you, and then maybe he would have a different idea about the angle, and maybe it would have been a stronger. Okay, he stole my jacket. I'm pissed off now. More heat. Or an escalation,
Or at least make suggestions of the way you could have stole the jacket. Like, what if you beat him up and took the jacket right off of his back and took it? And like,
or he cuts a promo about he's having a streak, or since he's having that jacket, he's having success or something like that,
Yeah.
But that's the thing with Ring of Honor. If you have an idea like that, it's easier to go on creative and explain it and get it worked out than with WWE, where Vince was accessible, but it's more like you give them ideas, they repackage ideas most of the time, and they want it their way. And sometimes you don't explain. You're kind of forced to do it in a certain way. Well, at the level that I was, depending where you stand on the hierarchy, on the roster, as far as who's accessible. Like Vince would always say, I had many meetings with him. He watched many of my matches. I remember one time Doing the Clown almost injured me on a small package. And I walked through the curtain at the Garden, and Vince says, that fucking clown, he almost fucking broke your neck, and I felt like I had that good Vince really liked me as a talent, and that felt good, that felt like, I felt like I was wanted, I felt like I was part of the plan, and I felt like, I was having huge success there. And he would always, my door's always open. If there's anything, you come up to me. And I remember when that thing happened with the Click, they wanted to kick me out right away. And Vince, if you read Shawn Michaels' book, Vince says, I will handle Carl Ouellet myself. So he wanted to keep me, But yeah.
Do you think a lot of times, going back to the Bret thing with any angle, do you think a lot of times, like, an angle happens and then years go by and so many people go, oh, that was dumb, like the same thing over and over again, that it gets in guys' heads that so many people didn't like it, that they convinced themselves that it wasn't a good idea, when really in actuality, like, it was a perfectly fine, like, I've seen angles start on way dumber ideas. But like, after so many years of people going, oh, like, you stole the jacket, like, people get convinced that something's not good.
What actually Bruce was saying about the whole thing?
Bruce thought it was great. Bruce thought it was a good idea, but he said, because I would be pissed off if somebody stole my jacket.
Yeah, of course I would.
Like, especially, like, he related it to, like, what if you were in high school and you had a Letterman jacket and those things were important and someone stole your jacket? Someone from another team stole your jacket. Like, that's a big deal. So, like, Bret always wore the jacket. You took the jacket. Like,
and I was making my entrance with his own jacket.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
That's even insulting, insult to the injury, like coming in with Bret's jacket and doing the that should have pissed him off enough, So, for him to say that it was a lame angle, I don't totally agree with him, but I love Bret to death. It was great to me, and he put me on his the Dungeon Collection, Bret Hart Dungeon Collection, the Powerhouse match. So it's one of his top 10 favorite matches that he put on one DVD. So he must have liked the match, even if he didn't like the angle. But I wish that Bruce or myself or someone could have explained to him what was the idea behind the stealing the jackets and stealing everything. That could have been something more emphasized, and we could have get more out of it.
One thing I want to touch on before we kind of talk about your Ring of Honor stuff. You unfortunately participated in the Brawl for All with the WWE. Do you remember how that went down?
Yeah.
How regrettable that was?
Well, it's not regrettable because
the concept was regrettable, not you, but I mean the concept itself was regrettable.
Concept was poor, poor concept.
Yeah.
But me, I think for me personally, That's my take on it. I didn't ask Bruce. I didn't ask Rougeau. I didn't ask anyone. But I was just coming off of not wanting to do business with Kevin Nash at the Montreal Forum. And I had the click against me big time. And I think I pissed off Vince. I think my relationship with Vince went sideways a little bit when that happened, where I totally forgot all the efforts that I had put into the business, how much that I had to struggle to get to where I was at. I didn't take that in consideration. And I said, it's either, my way or I'm going home. And I think that really pissed him off. But I was really at that point, I was at the age that I was, I was 25, 26. With the wisdom that I had and the experience that I had in the business, I cracked, like they would all steering so much shit, around everything and wanted me because I was on a huge streak and I was doing very well. And that didn't please a lot of people, maybe Vince was pleased with that. Jim Ross was pleased with that. Maybe Bruce was pleased with that. But some of the boys, jealousy start to hit and people start to make shit up and things like that. And eventually Kevin Nash walked up to me at the TV tapings and he said in Montreal, and I didn't even know I was booking Montreal against Kevin. He said, Montreal is going to be big boot jackknife 1, 2, 3. And that insulted me. And I think that should have been okay, fine. Big boot 1, 2, 3 in Montreal. I don't care. Who cares? But back then, it was, well, you're trying to get to me. You're trying to insult me, saying it's going to be your way in my hometown, and nobody is telling me that. Vince hasn't told me. No agent has told me yet. You've got obviously a scoop. You're in the office and you're giving me an order. And I felt like, no.
Do you think a lot of it, I don't know if this has ever been touched on before, but do you think a lot of it had to do with the animosity between Bret and Sean and like whoever were perceived Bret guys kind of got shit for being, because you had a past relationship with Bret, you worked together at Calgary, you had a long, is there kind of like, okay, these guys are on our shit list just because they're not on our side?
Maybe. Also, I think Jacques had a lot of heat too with the guys, and I was like, in their mind, I was Jacques' boy. Jacques brought me in, and I was instant WWE Tag Champ. They don't know I had been wrestling for 8-10 years, and I had borrowed like maybe 20 grand to my mom to make it all the way up there. That I was in Puerto Rico calling every week my mom saying, you have to Western Union me some money because they can't pay me this week, or they behind in my money, or I can't pay my rental, or I'm starving, or things like that. They don't know that. So you sign, you get there, a month after you get the straps, and then you get the straps for a year full, and you get a good push, and then you do the main event against Jacques for his retirement match. You're on top of the full roster that contains Undertaker, Yokozuna, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, Kevin Nash, Jeff Jarrett, name it. All the big names of the industry. We're stealing the show on top. And Vince is there, and Bruce is there, and Russ is there, and Briscoes are there. And we stole the show. And after that, I'm having that huge run, for 8-9 months undefeated. And then, I'm having that call, from Nash saying the big boot jackknife and this, and so I took it personal. And by the way, I want to say that I'm getting along very good with Kevin. I don't. It's not a story where I hate him or I don't talk to him. I take full responsibility for my action. Even if I don't know what was his reason, and I don't want to know, I just know that I was totally wrong.
I think it's been well documented. Like the Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels, Scott Hall of today are way different than the guys of the 90s.
And I've met them on different house shows.
Yeah.
You know, on Indies on 2018, 2017. I've seen them multiple times, and it was like it could have been one of my good friend back then if I would have known him the way that I know him today.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I didn't know the good side of him. I've saw only the bad sides of him.
Well, you're all younger. It's competition. I mean, it's a business. It's a cutthroat business, and everybody's worried about themselves because you have to be, and that's just what happens. But before I let you go, I want to touch on the Ring of Honor stuff. So you come back. Did you know I was actually doing some research? Let's say today, 2 days ago, was your year anniversary of winning the Ring of Honor World Championship.
Yeah, it was the 13th. Friday the 13th.
Yeah, you wanted to.
How can I forget a date?
Yeah, how can you forget that? So, I mean, what has it been like coming back? Because you were gone for a little while. You were retired. You come back. You're the Ring of Honor World Champion. Now you're working the pay-per-view this weekend. You got a new tag team partner in Mark Briscoe. I mean, you've come kind of full circle. Like, what's that been like?
It's been awesome. I mean, like all those experiences, like when I took myself out of the picture by my own mistakes, you know, with Vince and with Nash and with Sean, where I think I should have just went along, you know, with the hits and roll with the hits and stay strong mentally and not crack under that some sort of pressure, not the pressure of performing, but the pressure from the other guys or the jealousy or not being where I wanted to be or not having the result that I wanted to have for that night. I should, I think I've learned so much. I took ownership. I took full responsibility. I look at myself in the mirror. I've seen all my mistakes, all the areas where I had to work on myself on personal development, you know, to become, you know, a better version and a better person and a better person. And you know, because I'm always thinking a lot of things are happening in the ring. The in-ring is important, the promos, all that. But a certain percentage of the end results, it's the way you handle yourself professionally, the way you deal with bad news, the way you deal with adversity, with setbacks, and how strong, how calluster you are in your mind. How much do you want it and how much you're willing to sacrifice and what kind of efforts you're willing to put in order to succeed and achieve. And I think by becoming last year the World Six-Man Tag, World Tag Team, World NWA Tag, Crockett Cup, the World Heavyweight Champ, I think it prepares, like, I want to impact even more, you know. I want to have a much larger impact on the wrestling community and on every walks of life, and be able to write a book to get my experience and to get the kid who wants to make it, who really wants to make it, to be successful, to be able to have a tool that he can relate to and say, okay, that's okay. When you think like that or like this, or what you have to do, what kind of discipline you need in order to succeed and things like that. Because I really put a lot of efforts. You know, it wasn't just luck or it just didn't happen like that. You know, it's starting at 13 years old and breaking in at 16 and never. Many times people thought, like, why didn't he quit? You know, he doesn't understand. Is he stupid or what? You know, and I always believed, and I always increased my work and my, getting up early, going to the gym, eating the right food, not drinking, not going out, all things that I was not doing when I was 25. I was doing the other way around. I was going out every night. I didn't care about having sleep or, about so many other things. It's been such a, for me, success is such a nice learning curve, nice learning experience, a nice school. It's been unbelievable. It's been unbelievable, and I don't think I have reached the climax point yet. And for me, I haven't reached my climax point yet. I'm always happy as a person, and but I always want more. But not in a way where I want to stretch this until I'm 75 years old. I just want to accomplish what I had set up, what I've wrote in my journal when I was young, or what I write in my journal every day when I get up in the morning. I just want to get to where I wanted to get. That's it. And because if you're asking me how many more years or how many more whatever are you going to be there, I don't know. It's all about achievements for me. So I'm not going to let go that piece. If I'm a dog, I'm not letting go that bone until, it's mine. So I'm there, it's like the Greek warriors used to have a big whole cement rock that would weighs, I don't know how many pounds or tons, and they would lift it and bring it up the hill. And I'm the guy who wants to kick it back down and roll it up again. That's my life. I want to grind every day. I don't want to be like a millionaire that tells you what to do, but I don't do fuck all about it. I grind.
Yeah.
I grind every day. Every match, I give something extra. I want to give my all-time best every single day. Every interview, every match, every session of training. I'm all there. I'm full.
Well, I think you gave me the best in this interview. So if that makes you feel any better.
I always try to. I always want to give my full. I don't want to do an interview and to be halfway there and say, I've got to do that. And no, I want to be fully invested. And I think when you're fully invested everywhere, it's hard not to be fully invested in your wrestling match because you're taking the habit to fully invest yourself in everything that you're doing. So you're sharp all the time.
Well, I wish you the best, man. And good luck with Final Battle and everything else moving forward with Ring of Honor.
Thank you so much. It was a privilege, and I'm very honored to be on the show. Thanks for the opportunity, and I'll see you somewhere. I'll see you. We'll cross paths somewhere.
Our paths will cross.
Thanks.
And that brings another episode of Not About Wrestling to a close. Guests of the Not About Wrestling show stay in their own damn houses. If you like the show, please share it on social or leave a review on iTunes. And remember to subscribe to Not About Wrestling on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/BroBible and find the Not About Wrestling section. Thanks again for listening or watching, and see you all next week. Well, I won't see you at all. You know what I mean.